Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the Sunset Boulevard podcast. Today, I'm here with my brother Jaden, and today's episode is actually going to be about some of our favorite childhood video games. So, game I want to start with. Yeah, first one I want to start with definitely as like one of the heavy hitters of childhood is the original Ultimate Alliance video game. You got to start off with
Yo,
one of the goats,
that
because
game
that game is nuts.
dude, we grinded that shit like no other.
Yeah, I remember we played that. I want to say it was like 2006, maybe 7. No, it couldn't be 7. It had to be like maybe 2008 or 9. But because I was in fourth grade, I believe. But I remember playing that on the 360. The Xbox 360. And that game, I don't remember as kids if we ever beat the game.
Uh, we did, but we didn't necessarily complete it. Like we were still missing a fuckload of heroes, but
Yeah, because I remember Doctor Strange was in that game and we never got him. And then I want to say Deadpool's in there as well, and I don't think we got him. But I remember
nah,
us
we
getting the
definitely didn't
Hulk,
get
and he was like
Deadpool.
the farthest character. But I will say, as much as I love this game, one of my least favorite things about it is the goddamn Atlantis level. The one where you have to play underwater and you swim. Because I don't know what it is about gaming in general, but underwater levels are just not it.
I mean, even though it was a little, treacherous, some CBT action basically, I mean, it was still fun. It was honestly like compared to all the other missions, that was the only one that like genuinely like that mission felt really cinematic.
Yeah, that's
Like
fair. Same with
that
the
mission did. It was annoying as like I'd rather drag my ball sack across a sheet of fucking shattered glass before I play that goddamn mission again. Like, oh my
Yeah, honestly.
god.
And I will say, like, it with the cinematics of it, it's also the same with the way the game starts off is really cinematic. Same with when you encounter, I think it's Fin Fang Foom, the little green dude, or
Oh
the
yeah.
dragon. Yeah, that's also pretty big and cinematic. And I will say the boss fights in that game are surprisingly good for like a what is effectively like a Guardians of the Galaxy but way earlier game. Um
Yeah.
do you remember what two characters you used to use? Because I do remember who I used to use, or at least one of my
Oh
characters.
shit, man. Dude, I know you used Moon Knight. You loved Moon
I
Knight.
forgot about Moon Knight. I know I
I
used Luke Cage every single time though.
Dude, Luke Cage was OP, but oh, I always use Iron Man. I do remember that.
Yeah, I
I
think I
always
used
had
Luke Cage and then I had like a small rotating roster of like trying people out.
oh, I had Nick Cage, or not Nick Cage, no, I had Iron Man. I think Nightcrawler was one that I used a lot. I think that was his name. Um,
Oh, I used
shit,
the Thing and Luke Cage. That was who I would use
oh
for like my
yeah!
mains. But I remember I would switch the Thing out for like I think I switched him to Wolverine and Deadpool at one point.
I
I
remember you
remember
playing Wolverine.
I remember switching to Invisible Woman at one point. I want to say I switched to Spider-Man, Thor, because I like the flying in that game. Which I know Spider-Man doesn't fly, but it's close enough. And then
Yeah, I think I used Spider-Man a good amount too.
yeah, I remember I used Luke Cage,
I
and I
was a
want to say
big
used
Spider-Man
Hulk at
kid.
one point.
I did use Hulk too.
Which also, talking about Ultimate Alliance reminded me of another game. I don't remember if I played it with you, but I want to say I played it on the GameCube, and it was Ultimate Alliance, but it was X-Men. Do you remember that game?
I th- I
Because
do.
I want to say it was
Because there
played
were
with
like
you, but I
yeah,
remember
because
using Wolverine and Nightcrawler, and then you were using Juggernaut.
yeah, dude, I love Juggernaut.
But I do not remember another character that you used, and that also reminded me, playing it on the GameCube, we also played. I don't know if you remember it, but it's long before the days of Rainbow Six Siege. I think it was Rainbow Six New Vegas or Rainbow Six Vegas maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
dude, it was Rainbow Six Vegas.
yeah, Rainbow Six
I
Vegas,
forgot about
and we
that
played it on the
game.
GameCube with some friends growing up, and that game for its time was nuts. I think
Dog, for
I
real.
think that's also not counting like Call of Duty. That's one of my first FPS games.
No, 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 no. That reminds me of a game. You know what our first FPS game was? Or at
Huh.
least close to one of them? Dog, Soldiers of Fortune Payback.
I
Do
don't even
you
remember
remember
that
that
game.
fucking game? Dude, no,
No.
because we had that when we lived in Greenfield and the trailer on the 360. I think it was a 360.
Oh, I do
But it
remember
was,
this game.
yeah, it was,
Holy.
yeah, dude, do you remember that game? I was obsessed with that game.
Yeah, that also that reminds me too. The same time we were playing Ultimate Alliance, we were playing Ghost Recon. No additional titles, just Ghost Recon
Oh,
on the
shit.
the 360, and we would do like the its equivalent of like Special Ops from Call of Duty. And I want to say it was just Ghost Recon. It didn't have any like special names or anything. And
I don't think it did.
no, I'm pretty sure it was just Ghost Recon, like no additionals. Let me see. I'm looking it up. That's why I'm stalling a bit. Not stalling, but yeah, it was the Ghost Recon trilogy that we had. It was Ghost Recon 2 Advanced Warfighter. Oh, it was Advanced Warfighter. That's what the only title was.
Yeah.
And it was 1, 2, and 3. Or 1, 2, and Future Soldier, but we didn't play Future Soldier.
Did we not? I thought it
No, I don't
not
think so.
early
I
on,
think
but
we
I
only
thought
had the
later on
first
down the
one.
line. I thought later on down the line we ended up like getting it for a little bit, but I'm pretty sure like our Xbox got broke not too long after, so we just we didn't get to play it much.
Possibly.
I swear at one point we had it because I think I do remember playing it at least like 2 or 3 times.
I think so, which that does remind me of another game that was our very first-person shooters. This is long before Ghost Recon or we played Call of Duty. It was and I'm actually going to blow your mind here because
I
we've been
think I
under a
know what game you're
misconception the
talking
whole
about.
time. Halo, but it was not Halo 3. I always thought we played Halo 3 growing up. No, it's Halo 2 that we played growing up.
God, my dog, right when you said it's Halo, my headset died. Hold on. God. Gotta love this Razer Nari, but holy fuck, the battery sucks. Alright, what'd you say?
No, like I was saying though, we played Halo growing up, but not Halo 2 like you would think. Or not Halo 3, I mean. It was Halo 2. I always thought we played Halo 3 as like one of our first early shooters, and yet it's not. It's
I know we also played Combat Evolve at Rob's house in his basement.
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Combat Evolved, oh man, that game was fun.
Yeah, I remember playing through the campaign of Halo 2, me playing as unless it was Halo 3, I could be wrong.
No, it was Halo 3 because I'd refuse being player 1 because I always wanted to play Arbiter.
Yeah. I was mixing it up. Yeah, Halo 3 because I would play as Master Chief and you would play as the Arbiter and we would play through the game.
Dog,
So
Arbiter's
good.
kit was so much better. I'm not even gonna lie. His kit was fucking broken.
That's because he had what was it? The Covenant? No, not the. I think it's the Covenant weapons, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then Master Chief had the USMC weapons, which
Yeah,
reminds me
fucking
the
Arbiter
flood
had a
level. The flood level in that game. I remember
Oh
as a
my
kid
god.
scared me
I
so
was
bad because I was just a little baby,
Same.
and I was like,
Yeah,
bro, this
dude.
level is horrifying as a kid. But
Dog, I
going back
remember
now,
one.
it's like, oh, this is it's pretty tame.
Yeah, dude, I remember one time I was staying with Candace and Donnie, and I was playing Halo 3 on the Xbox late at night, but when I hit the flood level, I literally just turned the bitch off. like, I was like, oh yeah, I get the flood now. Turned it off. I was like, nope,
Yeah,
nightmare fuel.
I remember some of the Easter eggs in that game. I know there's the one minion who or not minion, the grunt who just runs around and he's a Easter egg in every single Halo game pretty much. Like he's always there somewhere. And I don't think you're able to actually kill him. I think he's just in the game running around, or maybe you can kill him but he's back in every game. And then I also remember, I think it was early on Halo 3, but it's when you're like going through, it's not a jungle, but it's like a kind of forest area-ish, and you like drop down a mountain and there's a little like 3 monkeys sitting together on one of the hills or whatever as an Easter egg. I want to say it was like an Easter egg to the developers maybe. I could be wrong. But I also remember you said playing late at night, and that reminded me we got in trouble. This was when we were staying one summer at Dad's, and me and you stayed up until 6 in the morning playing Sims Bustin' Out on the PS2, and we got in trouble because Dad came in to get ready for work, and we were still up playing that game. And I remember him yelling at us for being up for so fucking long playing that game. But I will say, to this day, that is still my favorite Sims game in the entire franchise.
That's the only Sims game I've ever enjoyed.
Yeah, because I don't know, there was something about it. Maybe it's I'm wearing rose-tinted glasses. Maybe it's nostalgia. I don't know. But, like, I've played 3. I've played 4. I've played Bustin' Out. I think that's it. But 3 is my least favorite, and then 4 is good. I enjoy Sims 4. Like, I enjoy most of them except for 3. But, and I
3
know
was fucking garbage. I'm not even gonna
I
lie.
don't like 3 nearly as much as Bustin' Out. And Sims 4 is good, because I have it downloaded right now. I enjoy it. I play it every now and then. But, I don't know. There's something about Sims Bustin' Out, because I remember specifically, first off, you could play 2-player, which was sick. But they also had it to where when you went to your job, I remember my character wore, like, big boot-flared blue jeans and, like, a green tank top, and I had red spiked hair. I looked like a character from Rocket Power, the skateboard cartoon.
Oh my
And I remember
god.
my character was a DJ, and me and you shared a house, obviously, but when I would go to my job as the DJ, instead of just time progressing really fast, you would still be playing in the house, but I would be in, like, this sky penthouse doing DJ for people. And instead of being at the house, if you wanted to, you were able to come to where I'm working, and you could hang out with me while I'm doing my job, making money, but also while, like, you could hang out with the other people dancing, and vice versa. Like, I could go to your job, and then the house, like, I don't know, there's definitely less options in the game, I imagine, but I don't know, the jobs, and, like, you could go to other locations that weren't your house. Like, I remember going to a restaurant together, or like, you went to the park and I went to, like, a dance club, or, like, all these other things. But that game is just so good, and I thought about getting it again for the PS4 or PS2, because I've got mine hooked up behind me, and I considered getting it
Yeah.
just, like, for a blast of nostalgia, basically, because I did that with another game I wanted to talk about, Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock.
Oh, dude.
Arguably the best Guitar Hero game. Undisputed.
Arguably one of the best games of all time. What do you mean?
Yeah, when it comes to rhythm games, that's definitely, like, one of the best, even for its age.
Holy fuck, dude. Dude, I literally, I had cracked that game on my computer, like, a few months ago because I just wanted to play it again so fucking bad. I need to re-download it because I got a new hard drive and didn't keep the old one because it was busted, but, dude, oh, I love Guitar Hero 3, bro.
Yeah, it's so good. And I replayed it because I got it on the PS2. It still hits. Even I didn't have the guitar because it's hard to find one for the PS2 that's not like $1,000.
Dude, honestly.
But playing it again, even just with the controller, it's still such a good game. Like, the music choice, the characters. Like, I loved playing as Lars growing up, but
Yeah,
I
and I
changed
always
from
played
Lars to Midori.
yeah, I always played the fucking Mohawk dude. I don't even remember his name.
I
I think it
also
was like
don't know his
Johnny or
name.
something. Oh, and another thing, actually, going back to Sims Bustin' Out, I think one thing that made that game so much better than the other Sims games was the amount of customization you could do, and just the kinds of customization that they were like. It was so perfect. The fact that you could customize everything like genuinely 100% to the way that you wanted, whether it was serious, goofy, modern, like it didn't matter what it was. And then like the activities in that game that you could do were just like, I don't know, that game just overall, it felt like they put a lot more effort into it, and especially like during the time back in, the early 2000s and whatever. Um like everybody, I mean, games in general were just different back then, and the things that they were able to put in that game just because of the time period, it just overall made everything like so much better. Like the game just came together perfectly. Like Sims busting out, bro. Like I remember in the fucking intro, the one thing we'd always point out was the goddamn cat burglar.
I was just about to mention the cat burglar. I was planning to, because that was one of the things that I was like, you didn't need to include this, but you chose to. And
Like that's what I love so much about it, is they added just like so many fun, cool, like little things into the game.
yeah, along with that too, like the customization you were talking about, even now, like the customization in the Sims game, I would say is better, but like the clothing options, I would say, because I don't know if you've ever tried it, but Sims with mods is it's a completely different game. Like I'll be honest, watching people, because I don't play it myself, but I've watched so many people play Sims with mods over the years.
Dog, I
It's
didn't
a
know Sims
completely
had mods.
Yeah, dude, you can do anything from like different clothing options to like, you know how when you place things, it's like more or less a gridded building system. You
Yeah.
can remove the grid, you can add new clothes, you know, you can add like different animals and people, characters, locations, like you can add all kinds of stuff. And even Sims themselves, like there's DLCs for the game where like you can be a vampire, or like there's mods where you can be a werewolf, or maybe that's in the game, I don't remember. But there's like a whole alien DLC where you're the last Sim or whatever, and you're trying to solve this alien apocalypse and bring people back from the alien overtake or whatever. Um, and like speaking of aliens, by the way, War of the Monsters is another one that is huge for us growing up.
Oh!
And the PS2, I I'm tempted to, I think I still have my copy of War of the Monsters, but that game is like my original fighting game next to Mortal Kombat 3 for the Sega Saturn. And um War of the Monsters growing up was insane. Like it's got so, like, unbeknownst to me at the time, the pop culture references in that game are insane. Cuz you've got,
Dude,
you know, the
yeah.
big monkey, which is King Kong. You've got, I don't remember what it was, but the Godzilla. You've got two robots, one being closer to Transformers and one being closer to like a war monster. And then there's the praying
Dude.
mantis. There's, you know, the alien, which I remember as a
Dog.
kid, we called the alien chicken butt, but I don't know what its actual name is, because we just always referred to it as chicken butt due to the fact that it had a beak and it looked kind of like a hamster Jimmy Neutron, if you remember that.
Oh, dude. I'm looking at the roster right now. Oh my god, dude. This game brings me back. This genuinely was like the
Zorgulon is his
fucking
actual
game
name.
for Zorgulon.
Yeah, Zorgulon is his actual name, apparently.
Dog, War of the Monsters was the shit for us. Like
I remember you
that
used to
game
play
was
as
genuinely
Kineticlops. It's like a eyeball. It was like the
yeah, the electric eyeball.
yeah, you used to play as him, and I remember getting so angry because you would play him and he's kind of like a ranger almost. But and then there's the dragon you could play as, Raptros. I remember getting the
Oh
dragon,
yeah.
and that was huge because you had to, I think you had to beat the game to get him.
Yeah, because the end game boss, I'm pretty sure. Wait, what was it? Him? I think it was like a big mutated version of him.
Uh,
Maybe. I'm not
I
100%
think so,
sure.
yeah, because it was the little dragons, and then he got zapped with a laser, and it made him huge. And the Transformers-esque robot was my main prior to picking up some other characters, but it's Ultra V. And I fucking loved Ultra V. He's such a cool character.
Oh
I was talking to
yeah.
Dakota about this, which apparently Sweet Tooth was in the game, because I'm looking at the roster too. Didn't know that. But
Sweet Tooth.
yeah, I guess he's in the game. He's on the roster.
You
But
sure?
I'm looking at the
Did
roster
it-
unless it's wrong.
I was gonna say, I'm looking at the roster. There was only 10 characters.
Um, let me see if maybe he was.
Oh wait, hold on. I see an extended one.
Oh, he might be a skin for Agamo. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
Agamo's
was about
fourth
to
skin
say, I
is
think
Sweet
he's a
Tooth, so it's
skin.
a DLC type of deal. But no, I remember playing as Ultra V, and he was just my favorite character in the entire game. He's so
Yeah.
good, and I remember the boss fight against the chicken butt alien guy. because he was, I don't know, it takes you from fighting in cities and stuff, but it takes you from that, like fighting in different cities, whether it's like a Tokyo based or like Chicago style city, and it takes you to an alien spaceship, and you just fight. I think you fight three of them in the spaceship, and you can like, while you're up there, you can look over the edge of the spaceship, and you can see the world below you, or at least I think I'm remembering that. And then I remember,
Yeah, I remember that mission.
yeah, I remember you could like fight at an airplane, because all the characters had their own themed maps. But you could not fight at an airplane. You could fight at a aircraft carrier or a military base. That's what it was. And you can like pick up the airplanes and you can throw them at each other, or like you can pick up an airplane, grab an enemy, and you can hit them with the airplane. And like they all had their own grab attacks and like lasers and all that stuff. And oh man, it was so good.
Dog, dude, I see. I didn't even know this is something that exists, but I see somebody made a tier list for War of the Monsters, and I highly disagree with it. So, and the reason why is because they put Kineticlops and Zorgulon in D tier. Dog,
Really?
yeah, Kineticlops was I remember the two that I loved the most was Kineticlops and Robo 47. Um, I'm pretty sure I also played Zorgulon a few times, but not much. I usually stuck to Kineticlops overall. But it sees here, so Ultra V, which I completely agree with this, was an S tier. He was fucking insane. Raptros was an S tier, and then they put the Mantis, Praetor, and Togera in A tier. Magmos and Robo 47 in B tier. Agamo and Kongar in C tier, and then Zorgulon and Kineticlops in D.
Really?
Yeah,
I
I was
remember
about to
Kineticlops
say.
being really good. I mean, maybe his melee attacks weren't that good, but like as a ranging character, he was really good.
Yeah, he was insane at even medium distance. Unless you were like in his face, like even then, like when you're up in his face, like it's not a specialty, but it's still all right. But if you are anywhere even decently away from him, you are fucked.
Yeah, pretty much. Because you
Like he
had
was
the
so strong at that.
yeah, your laser blasts were really strong, but I want to say your melee wasn't, or maybe your combos. And
Yeah, I don't think he had many combos.
that also reminded me, talking about War of the Monsters, it reminded me of another game, which I don't know if you'll remember this one, because this I want to say was before you were born, but because we're 4 years apart, but I played this game on the original Xbox, and it was a Godzilla fighting game. Do you remember that game?
I don't think I do.
So basically, take War of the Monsters, but instead of being like third-party custom created characters, basically it's Godzilla characters. So like you could play as Godzilla, Mecha, King Ghidorah, Destroyer, Mothra, uh, I don't think Ultraman. I'm thinking of a different character. I don't think it's Ultraman, but you can play as like all the Godzilla creatures, and it's essentially the same as War of the Monsters, but it's like Godzilla themed, and it was fucking sick. And while you're fighting in the Godzilla game, all the different maps had like different stage hazards, kind of like Smash. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
one, I don't remember what the location's called because it's been so long, but you're fighting, I want to say it's the Destroyer boss fight, but while you're fighting him, the military shows up and you have to like dodge lasers that they're shooting at you to try to take you down. So it's like additional stage hazards on top of fighting two gigantic monsters fighting. And that also reminds me, I brought up Mortal Kombat 3 earlier. That's my first ever fighting game, I believe, unless it's the Godzilla one. But I played against Dad growing up, and I wasn't very good at the game, and I didn't recognize it until later in life. But me and Dad played this together like a lot because it was Dad's favorite fighting game. Even now, he loves Mortal Kombat.
Oh
But
yeah.
me and him would play Mortal Kombat 3 together on the Sega Saturn growing up. And he would always win, obviously, because I'm a kid. I'm bad at the game, obviously. But I remember one time, as a kid, it made my day, because one of the times we were playing, it was super close, and he let me win. But I didn't know that as a kid, so I thought I beat him, and I freaked out and was super happy. But growing up, I realized he let me win just to make me happy, knowing that I beat him. And I guarantee you that is what made me into a gamer, because I liked having that feeling.
Dude, for sure. I mean, dude, and that's exactly what he did it for too. Like, that's exactly why. Like, dude, what a great dad.
True. And I remember even back then, Dad's favorite character was still Scorpion.
Scorpion, yeah.
And then back then, I want to say because I was a kid, I might have liked Sub-Zero maybe,
Yeah, no, you were a hard Sub-Zero man.
or maybe was it Sub-Zero? I don't remember, because back then he didn't have his mask, he didn't have a helmet on, and I don't think I liked him. Maybe I played as Johnny Cage or Liu Kang, but I remember playing that and Dad being a huge Sub-Zero fan. And then I remember MK9 is when I started playing as Jax. And Jax is my favorite fucking character in that game. I don't know if he was OP or what, but his moveset was hidden.
Dog, his fucking X-ray!
Yeah.
His X-ray! You had to jump over that to avoid it, because it didn't matter if you were blocking or not.
Yeah, because he does the big old super... No, does he do the lunge or the grab?
He lunges forward and grabs you.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's nuts, because he does the throw up into the air, into the spine, and then the throw to the side and the slam or whatever. Or no, he does spine to knee to slam, I think. And then I remember back then you used to play as Reptile. Yeah. And then you would play
Reptile
as
and Noob.
Sector and Noob.
Oh yeah, and I played Sector
and then we had it on the PlayStation 3, so we had the DLC for Kratos, which was fucking awesome.
Ah, dude, yeah.
Kratos in that game was so much fun to be added to that roster, which I think I smacked my microphone. If I did, I apologize. But no, Kratos in that game was so sick, because his moveset was really good, and it was like an all-rounded moveset, because you had your swords, you had the golden fleece, so if anyone shot a projectile, you could reject it to them, or reflect it to them, not reject it.
Rejected.
Yeah, they throw it at you, and you're just like, no. It does big damage. No. I remember, though, Dakota, my friend Dakota, I had to call over one morning, because I was beating the campaign before school, or maybe it was a weekend, and I had just been up earlier than him. But I remember calling him over and being like, you need to get over here right now. And I was pissed. And he comes over at, like, I think noon, which was early for us because we were always up around, like, 1 or 2 on weekends because we would stay up super late. But, I called him over because the last chapter in the game you have to do is Raiden. And when you're playing as Raiden, you have to eventually beat Shao Kahn. And Raiden's moveset in that game is not good. Like, he's probably the worst character in Mortal Kombat 9. I actually
remember when this was happening. Because I remember this whole fucking fiasco of trying to kill Shao Kahn, because it took us all forever.
Yeah, it took us several hours of, like, each one of us trying to beat him before I called Dakota over, and it even took him another, like, additional hour to finally beat him. And we were, like, what, 11 or 12, I think?
Something like that.
But it's just a hard boss fight, because he's got the boosted stats and, you know, all that jazz.
The hyper armor.
Yeah, the hyper armor, the boosted stats, the ranged moves, and Raiden just sucks in that game.
Yeah, he is not good.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, no, not a fucking bit. Like, an MK11, whew, he's spicy, but MK9, oh my god, he sucked.
Yeah. And, speaking of things that are spicy, I don't know if you'll remember this game, but this game was big for me growing up. SSX Tricky. Yeah.
It's tricky.
It's a snowboarding game if you haven't heard of it. Snowboarding game, and they put, I think it's DMC or DMX, Tricky in the game. So as you do tricks, you'll build up a meter on the side of your screen for, like, style points. And once it hits the high enough, it'll play, like, I think it's 10 seconds of the song. That's all it ever plays.
Yeah.
But, it's, oh man, it's such a good game. And even now, like, I played a game called, I think it's Descent or Descenders. Or maybe it's something else, but it's a snowboarding game. It's not nearly as good. I've yet to play a good snowboarding game since SSX Tricky. because that one, it's like it's got a bunch of different characters you can play as, so they all have their own personality. And then there's different boards you can use, which will change how your move set is, I think. Or no, the characters had different move sets, and then the boards would change. I want to say the color that would be behind you when you're flying through the air. So it was also like you could play the same character as somebody, but have different customizations because they had outfits and boards and all that jazz. I remember I used to play as a character named Mac, and I would pick his standard board, and then you would play as a guy named Simon. And I don't remember what board you used to use, but man, that game was so much fun.
Dude, yeah, I'm not even gonna lie, like, I really hope that there's a lot of people out there that can relate to some of these games, especially. I really hope there are other War of the Monster aficionados out there because that game was a general marvel, a genuine fucking masterpiece, and I really, really, really hope other people have experienced it. Whoa, hold on, is this just a, hold on, is this real?
Yeah, I will say, I've never met anybody in my lifetime so far who has played War of the Monsters on the PS2 or
Yeah,
just
me
played it in
neither.
general. I always thought like it was just some weird game mom found at like a disc replay that isn't actually a real game that we just played because I've never heard anyone talk about it. But another game that reminds me of is talking about a game that we used to play with family. Ape Escape 2. I don't know if you were as big into Ape Escape as I was, but Ape Escape 2 is probably one of my favorite games of all time, next to Final Fantasy X. Because
Oh,
outside,
dude, I fucking Ape Escape.
yeah, Ape Escape 2 specifically was awesome. Because I never played the first one because we didn't have it, but the second one is so good. I played it on the PS4 a few years ago because I bought it because it's like $10. And I was
Yeah.
like, $10 is nothing. I'm playing this. I got it. It's still just as good as I remember it. It held up to time. It is such a good fucking game. And then what sucks too is they did the third game, which I remember playing growing up. And you play as either a male or female character, which is the first time they introduce it. I want to say the female character, you're a witch. And then the male character, you're a knight. I believe. I know the male character, you're a knight, but I'm not sure about the female character. But that one's not as good. I don't know, they tried a weird spin on it, and it didn't work out, and I imagine that's why there's not a fourth, fifth game. But the second one is so fucking good. If you have a chance, please try it out. It's so good. And then Final
Word.
Fantasy X, I don't know if you played that one either. But
Nah, I was never really a Final Fantasy player.
Final Fantasy X, I can't play the music because it'll get copyright.
Copyright.
But the music is so fucking good. Especially, it's mostly the battle theme that I like the most. But I don't know, man. I like Pokemon style games, and Final Fantasy is, I would call, or yeah, because I think Pokemon came out first. Final Fantasy is like a Pokemon style game where it's the turn based, but you can also like
Yeah.
change your weapons and armor pieces, and like you can put in different materia so you can do different spells. But oh man, it's such a good game. The characters in it are really good. And then apparently I found out there's X2, which is a continuation of 10 that I didn't know existed until a couple years ago when I bought it for the PS4. But I just bought it again recently for PC, which I know you're thinking, why would you buy multiple copies of the same game? It's that good of a game. It's like how people own Skyrim on every single console. That's me with this game, except I don't have it on the PS2. But I will say, I don't know if you've ever seen them, Jaden, but the cutscenes for Final Fantasy X, for their time, are insane what they were able to pull off with the PS2/3 for graphics. Like, I'll have to show you some later on after this. But, oh man, Final Fantasy X is such a good game. I'm trying to think of some other games. We covered Ape Escape, War of the Monsters. Oh, Mario Kart. Why didn't... Oh, speaking of Mario Kart, I don't know if you remember playing it growing up, but I had this game for the N64, and it was a racing game, but it was only Volkswagen Beetles. Do you remember this?
I'm sorry, I was reading something. Repeat that.
There was a game growing up that I had for the N64. I remember this because I thought about Mario Kart, but it was a racing game. It was basically Mario Kart, but you only drove Volkswagen Beetles. Do you remember this game?
I think.
Because I remember I would always play as a white or black beetle so that I could hide in the shadows and crash into you. But I remember that, which that also reminds me, please remember this game. I hope you do. It's for the N64, and it's a first-person shooter South Park game. Do you remember this game?
South Park game?
Yeah, it was a first-person shooter, but it was, or I think it was a first-person shooter. But it was a South Park game for the N64, and it was like you run around. I think it was a snowball fight game, maybe. But I remember you would
Sounds familiar. I think I know what you're talking about.
it was, yeah, you would run around and you would like shoot snowballs at each other. And yeah, here it is. It's, I'm trying to find out what it's called. But no, it's, yeah, it's just called South Park for the N64. But it's a snowball fight game. I'm watching a video right now of someone playing it. And you throw snowballs at each other, and then it's basically like you shoot turkeys and stuff, and it's like a horde survival game kind of, but you can also hit each other because it's like you're competing to see who can have the higher score. But you throw the snowballs and you try to get the highest score, but you can also pee on the snowballs and you throw it at your friend and it makes their screen blurry.
I remember this. I remember this. I now remember this.
Yeah.
That was such a vivid detail. Pissing on the snowball and throwing it at someone.
Yeah, the classic pee snowball to throw it at people. But no, I remember that game. And then there was also oh, what was it? I remember playing, this isn't a game, but this is something that came to my mind while we were talking about it because of the house that we lived in. So I got moon shoes growing up. This isn't a game. I'm gonna go off topic a little. No, so not a game. My dad got me moon shoes growing up, and he explicitly said, "Do not, under any circumstance, use them indoors because they're not made for like carpet and stuff." I did it anyways because kids are stupid. So I used them indoors, and within not even 30 seconds of using them, I was bouncing on the moon shoes. I jump, fall forward because the shoes had like little lips on the feet of like the bottom to like, I don't know why, but they had little lips. And when I jumped, one shoe caught the other. I fell forward, and my face, mouth first, because I yelled, tooth first, into a CRTV, the old like big box TVs. And one of my front teeth is still chipped to this day because of that. Which reminds me also, we had pogo sticks in that same house. Do you remember the pogo sticks we got?
I do remember the pogo sticks.
Yeah, Dad got us 2 pogo sticks, which is like, who wants a pogo stick in reality? Like, looking back at it, why did we want pogo sticks? But we didn't know how to use them, and I remember one time I was using it, and I'm just, pogo sticking around going crazy. I finally started, like, kind of get the hang of it, and I remember falling on, like, those little, I don't know what they're actually called, but they're, like, little spiky balls that come off trees. I know some people call them stickers, or some people call them something else, but I just call them a little spike ball. But you know what I'm talking about, right? Or spurs or whatever. I think they might be called spurs.
I think so.
They're like the little balls of spikes that fall off trees in like
the
fall, I think. But I was using the pogo stick and I slipped on one of those and I fell into a bed of those. And as a kid, like, they probably don't hurt as much as I remember them hurting. But as a kid, that was fucking awful to experience. Because that was just like, oh, it was so bad. What's another game?
Hold on. This is completely off topic, but I just saw some post on Instagram, and it says Aunt Jemima announces that they're changing the name, removing the racial stereotypes from the product.
Oh, are you talking about the Aunt Jemima thing?
Yeah,
That happened like a year or two ago.
no, they're changing the name of it now.
Yeah, they already did.
It.
It's a Pearl Milling Company now.
Oh, are you for real?
Yeah, they changed it a
Oh
long
yeah, I
time
see that.
ago.
This is 2021. Oh, I'm dumb as shit.
Yeah, cause I don't
Shows how
know.
much I buy syrup.
Yeah, honestly, even when I do eat pancakes, I don't eat syrup with them because I'm more of like a eat it with your hands kind of guy. I don't know about you, but I like syrup. I'll eat it sometimes, but I'm more of a eat them plain with my hands kind of. Same for waffles, which speaking of waffles, for Eggo, they have these little cinnamon toast. They're not the cinnamon toast sticks, but it's like a waffle, but they're cut to be 4 little pieces of toast that are connected, and they're cinnamon, I think cinnamon maple or maybe cinnamon sugar flavored. They are insane, so fucking good. And I had a like craving for those for a while, but I finally got off of that because I was like, I can't eat these every day. They cannot be good for me.
Oh, not one bit.
No, no, no. I'm sure like every now and then they're fine, but yeah, no, I had to stop. Which reminds me, speaking of food, we can shift the topic a little bit. It's fine. But speaking of food, when we first moved into our apartment that we're at now, um, I had a huge kick for they're Outshine bars. I don't know if you ever heard of them. Which
No.
I'll pull it up on screen really fast. But
Oh, word.
yeah, they're Outshine bars. Um, they're these, which I know you can't see them, but just imagine, I guess. They're these ones.
Right.
They're frozen.
Right.
Here, I'll send the image to Discord real fast. They're
So, yeah, just imagine.
yeah, just pretend you can see what I'm talking about. No, there are these frozen yogurt strawberry like not popsicles. They were like closer to bars, I guess.
Oh, I remember these.
Yeah, they're frozen yogurt little bars, but I used to get these a lot and they were so good. Like if you're looking for like something sweet that's also not bad for you, go for those. Not sponsored at all, but those are so fucking good. And I was getting those, I would come home from work every day and have one. That was it. Only when I got home from work as like a treat to myself for the end of the day. But yeah, I had those for a while. Huge kick on those. And I've been wanting to get them again recently, but I'm not able to find the exact same ones I used to get because they were the frozen yogurt bars, but I'm not able to find them now. All they have is like the ones that are a normal popsicle or the ones that aren't frozen yogurt. It's like just ice cream because it doesn't hit the same. I won't lie. Frozen yogurt popsicles don't hit the same as the ice cream ones. However, that is where I'm gonna call it for today because I am starting to run out of things to talk about. But
Oh, word. Oh,
yeah.
no. Hold on. First though.
Oh, go ahead.
Our favorite childhood racing game. Now, there's 2 of them actually.
Really?
I can't remember the name of the other one at this exact moment. But you already know what the other one I'm about to say is. Mo fucking Juiced 2 on the
Yeah,
Xbox 360.
I forgot about Juice 2. How did I not remember that?
I love that
Oh.
game.
Yeah, Juice 2 is sick. I've never actually been able to get another copy of it since the 360. I think that might have been all it came out on.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to get a copy for like PC or PS4 or whatever. But I think it was only on the 360. But that game is fucking sick. I remember being so good at drifting in that game, man. Because drifting in that game was like, I'm willing to say peak drifting in video games. And I've played like Need for Speed, Forza, GTA, like, I know GTA is not a racing game, but you can drift in GTA.
Yeah.
But no, I'd say Blur is, or not Blur, that's another racing game, which it's like Mario Kart, but realistic. But that game was questionable. But Juiced is fucking sick. If you have the chance to play it, please do. And I think the other racing game you might have been thinking about, unless it's a newer one, the first one that came to my mind for the PS2 was Automodelista.
Yeah, that's the that's the one I was.
I still have it, and it still works.
For
Automodelista,
real?
yeah, I still have it. It's in a. I kept all my like favorite games in my closet, but I haven't played it in a while. But I do still have it. If I end up digging it out, I would need a second controller, but we could play it sometime. But that'd be sick. I think I still have our old save data possibly, because I do have the same memory card in this PS2 that I've had since we got it. Because this is the, mind you, this is the same PS2 from when we played this is gonna be another game that I forgot about. From when me, you, and Andy used to play Star Wars Battlefront in the townhouse, if you remember that.
Play what?
Star Wars Battlefront,
Oh yeah,
the original one on
dude.
the PS2. That game is fucking awesome. But yeah, I think that's where we're gonna end it. This is a pretty good podcast, or a pretty good episode.
Word. Word.
Thank you for joining me, Jay.
No
Uh,
prob.
I will talk to you next time, I guess. Perhaps.
For sure. I just
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing. Leave a comment on what you want to hear us talk about next. And check out my other channel. It's Limerick _ on YouTube. I post there semi-consistently, but the podcast will be here more often than my channel, most likely. But thank you for tuning into the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. See ya.